Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Renuka with the evening news. The headlines. President Ramnath Kovind to be on a 4-day visit to Uttar Pradesh from tomorrow, also to visit his native village in Kanpur Dehat, along with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Governor Anandiben Patel and Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. Prime Minister to attend groundbreaking ceremony of UP Investors Summit 3.0 in Lucknow tomorrow. India and Israel adopt vision statement to pave the way for defence cooperation in future. Home Minister Amit Shah reviews preparedness to deal with flood situations in the country during monsoon. Government says overall coal production increases by 61 million tonnes during 2021-22. Power sector coal imports come down by 40%. Counting of votes for assembly by-elections in 3 constituencies, one each in Uttarakhand, Odisha and Kerala to be taken up tomorrow. Renowned Santoor maestro Pandit Bhajan Sopori passes away in Gurugram. Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur to launch nationwide programs on World Bicycle Day tomorrow from Major Dhyan Chand Stadium in New Delhi. And in French Open Tennis Tournament, India's Rohan Bopanna and his Dutch partner Matwé Middelkoop go down to Jean-Julien Roja and Marcelo Arevalo in men's doubles semi-final. President Ramnath Kovind will visit Parokh, his native village in Kanpur Dehat of Uttar Pradesh tomorrow, along with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Governor Anandiben Patel and Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. The President will be on a 4-day visit to Uttar Pradesh from tomorrow. He will take part in various programs during the tour and visit Kanpur, Kanpur Dehat, Gorakhpur, Sant Kabir Nagar, Varanasi and Lucknow cities. President Kovind is also scheduled to address a joint session of the state legislature on the occasion of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav on Monday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also visit Uttar Pradesh tomorrow. More from our correspondent.
Tomorrow at around 1:45 p.m., Prime Minister Narendra Modi will reach Parokh village in Kanpur Dehat district, where he will accompany President Ramnath Kovind to visit Pathri Mata Mandir. Thereafter, they will visit Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Bhavan, which will be followed by a visit to Milan Kendra. The Kendra is the ancestral house of the President that was donated for public use and converted to a community center. Subsequently, they will attend a public function at Parokh village at 2:30 p.m. The President will address the public meeting there and will meet his old friends and family members during his stay in his village. This will be the second visit of the President to his native village after assuming the highest office. Earlier, he had come to the district in June last year. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Kanpur.
In the morning, the Prime Minister will reach Indira Gandhi Pratishthan, Lucknow, where he will attend the groundbreaking ceremony of the UP Investor Summit 3.0. During the ceremony, Mr. Modi will lay the foundation stone of 1,406 projects worth more than 80,000 crore rupees. The projects encompass diverse sectors like agriculture and allied, IT and electronics, MSME, manufacturing, renewable energy, pharma, tourism, defence and aerospace, handloom and textiles. The ceremony will be attended by top industry leaders of the country. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath reviewed preparations for the event, which will mark the implementation of investment proposals worth more than 80,000 crore rupees in the state. He said the ceremony would add new dimensions to the state's development. Chief Secretary Durga Shankar Mishra, Infrastructure and Industrial Development Commissioner Arvind Kumar and Additional Chief Secretary Navneet Sehgal briefed the Chief Minister about the arrangements being made at the venue. India and Israel today discussed key issues pertaining to defence cooperation and global and regional scenarios. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh held bilateral meeting with his Israeli counterpart Benjamin Gantz in New Delhi. In a series of tweets, Mr. Singh said both the countries have adopted a vision statement which will pave the way for defence cooperation in future. He said there is a broad consensus between the two countries on further strengthening the bilateral strategic and defence cooperation.
Deputy Minister and Defence Minister of Israel, Benjamin Gantz, who is on an official visit to India, called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi today. The leaders reviewed the rapid growth in defence cooperation between India and Israel over the past few years. Mr. Modi encouraged Israeli defense companies to benefit from opportunities of co-development and co-production in India. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar today discussed India-France strategic cooperation and other bilateral issues with his French counterpart, Catherine Colonna. In a telephonic discussion, both the ministers also spoke about the Ukraine conflict and the Indo-Pacific. Dr. Jaishankar said in a tweet that he is looking forward to an in-person meeting with Ms. Colonna. The External Affairs Ministry today said India's approach is guided by its energy security requirements. Replying to a query on Russian oil, Ministry spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said many regions and countries have taken policy decisions recently with a similar perspective. He reiterated this is not an India-related issue at all.
The External Affairs Ministry has said the visit of an official team from India to Kabul is about humanitarian assistance to the people of Afghanistan. Briefing media in New Delhi this evening, External Affairs Ministry spokesman Arindam Bagchi said India has been providing humanitarian assistance in various forms. He said the ongoing visit is to oversee the delivery of this assistance and have discussions with the relevant people for that. Mr. Bagchi added that India has historical and civilizational ties with the Afghan people, and these long-standing ties will continue to guide India's approach to Afghanistan. On reopening of the Indian embassy in Kabul, Mr. Bagchi said given the deterioration of situation in Afghanistan last year, the ministry had to pull out its India-based officials. The local staff continue to be there.
अफगानिस्तान में बिगड़ती सुरक्षा स्थिति को देखते हुए हमारे इंडिया बेस्ड अधिकारियों को वापस लाने का एक डिसीजन लिया गया था। हालांकि लोकल स्टाफ ने कार्य करना जारी रखा था और अभी भी है, और वो हमारे परिसर के उचित रखरखाव सुनिश्चित करते हैं और हमारा लोकल स्टाफ भी मानवीय सहायता कर रहे हैं।
Home Minister Amit Shah today held a high-level meeting to review the preparedness to deal with flood situations in the country during the monsoon. He also took stock of the preparations made under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi by National Disaster Response Force and National Disaster Management Authority in the flood-affected areas. He reviewed the long-term measures to formulate a wide and comprehensive policy to mitigate the flood-related problems of the country. Several decisions were taken in the meeting to minimize the loss of life and property during floods.
The Coal Ministry has said that coal imports declined to 209 million tons in 2021-22 against 248 million tons in 2019-20. It said that power sector coal imports came down by 40%. Overall coal production has increased by 61 million tons during 2021-22. The ministry informed that the decline in coal import during 2021-22 is largely due to decrease in imports by the power sector, which came down from 45 million tons in 2020-21 to 27 million tons in 2021-22. It further informed that the total thermal power generation in the country increased to 1,115 billion units in 2021-22 from 1,032 billion units in 2020-21. The Union Government today said steps taken to tackle price rise are showing their impact despite challenges. Briefing media in New Delhi this afternoon, Food and Public Distribution Secretary Sudhanshu Pandey said the trend is on the reducing side and prices of commodities have declined. He added prices are behaving in a manner as was intended by the measures undertaken.
The Centre for Development of Telematics has signed an agreement with WiSig Networks Private Limited and VVDN Technologies Private Limited for collaboration in the area of open RAN-based radio network for 5G solution. The Ministry of Communications said it is a major step for indigenous development of 5G open RAN under Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative. In Meghalaya, Union Minister of State for Information and Broadcasting along with Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying, Dr. L. Murugan, who is on a two-day visit to the state today, interacted with fish farmers and beneficiaries of various schemes of the government. The MOS visited a fish farm at Umet village in Vibhoi district and encouraged others to take up fish farming and provide employment opportunities for others. He also visited a site in Umiam Lake where fish seeds are released into the Umiam River. The MOS will interact with officials of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting tomorrow and visit AIR Cherrapunji.
The National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, NABARD, has begun formal operations in Union Territory Ladakh. NABARD Chairman Dr. G.R. Chintala today inaugurated the District Development Manager Office for Ladakh and Leh. UT Secretary Ravindra Kumar and Divisional Commissioner Saugat Biswas were also present at this juncture. On this occasion, they also released a glimpse of initiatives of NABARD in Ladakh. In Uttarakhand, counting of votes for the Champawat Assembly by-election will be taken up tomorrow. District Election Officer Narendra Bhandari said that the administration has completed all the preparations for the counting of votes. He said it would start at 8 a.m. on the Goral Chow ground of the district headquarters. Voting for the Champawat Assembly by-poll was held on the 31st of May. Similarly, counting of votes for assembly by-elections in other two constituencies, Brajrajnagar in Odisha and Thikkarakara in Kerala, will also be taken up tomorrow.
The Department of Consumer Affairs will soon come up with a robust framework to ensure strict compliance by stakeholders with regard to service charge levied by restaurants and hotels, as it adversely affects consumers on a daily basis. The department held a meeting today with restaurant associations and consumer organizations on levy of service charge in hotels and restaurants. The meeting was chaired by Secretary of the department, Rohit Kumar Singh. India's COVID-19 vaccination coverage has crossed 193 crore 81 lakh today. The Health Ministry said more than 10,22,000 vaccine doses were administered today.
You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. President Ramnath Kovind to be on a 4-day visit to Uttar Pradesh from tomorrow. Also to visit his native village in Kanpur Dehat along with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Governor Anandiben Patel and Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. Prime Minister to attend groundbreaking ceremony of the UP Investor Summit 3.0 in Lucknow tomorrow. India and Israel adopt a vision statement to pave the way for defense cooperation in future. Home Minister Amit Shah reviews preparedness to deal with flood situations in the country during monsoon. Government says overall coal production increases by 61 million tons during 2021-22. Power sector coal imports come down by 40%. Counting of votes for assembly by-elections in 3 constituencies, one each of in Uttarakhand, Odisha and Kerala, to be taken up tomorrow. Renowned Santoor maestro Pandit Bhajan Sopori passes away in Gurugram. Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur to launch nationwide programs on World Bicycle Day tomorrow from Major Dhyan Chand Stadium in New Delhi. And in French Open Tennis Tournament, India's Rohan Bopanna and his Dutch partner Mathieu Middelkoop go down to Jean-Julien Roger and Marcelo Arivalo in men's doubles semi-final. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 870-001-4242 पर
870-001-4242।
Welcome back to the evening news. Indian culture is built upon centuries of history, arguably one of the oldest in the world. Indian creativity, ingenuity and unparalleled craftsmanship are showcased in artifacts that were taken away from India and are now making their way back to our country thanks to the untiring efforts of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The urgency with which India is working to restore her stolen heritage began with the Modi government. Before 2014, just 13 artifacts were recovered from other countries, a number which has grown over 18 times with PM Modi at the helm. Along with this, the PM Modi-led government has also been working relentlessly to restore and redevelop heritage sites across the country to make them future-ready with better accessibility to people of all ages. Be it heroes of the independence movement, cultural icons or bravehearts who sacrificed their lives for the nation, New India is rediscovering the treasure trove of Indian achievements and feeling proud of them under PM Modi's leadership. And now let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
In today's episode, we remember freedom fighter Duggirala Gopal Krishnaiah, who was born on the 2nd of June 1889 in Krishna district of Andhra Pradesh, known by his title of Andhra Ratna. Gopal Krishnaiah was a poet, songwriter, philosopher, singer, and an extraordinary revolutionary with a philosophy of non-violence.
Gopal Krishnaiah studied economics at the University of Edinburgh. With the financial help of his friend Nadempalli Narasimha Rao, he returned to India in 1917 and started working at the National College at Machilipatnam, Andhra Pradesh. He was inspired to join Annie Besant's Home Rule movement, and in 1919 he gave up his teaching career to become a full-time political activist.
After attending the Calcutta Congress session in 1920, he was attracted to the principles of non-cooperation and satyagraha and resolved to dedicate his life to the achievement of Swaraj. Gopal Krishnaiah organized a cadre of workers called Ramadandu, or Rama's Army, to work for the cause of Swaraj. In 1921, Ramadandu played a prominent role in organizing the Congress session held at Vijayawada.
Gopal Krishnaiah is well known for leading the anti-tax satyagraha in Chirala during the non-cooperation movement. In January 1921, when the residents of Chirala decided not to pay the taxes, the British clamped down by arresting, prosecuting and sentencing several of the protesters to imprisonment. On advice of Mahatma Gandhi, Gopal Krishnaiah led the residents of Chirala town to move out of the town and set up temporary settlements beyond town limits.
Nearly 13,000 out of the town's total population of 15,000 responded to his call and shifted to a new settlement called Ramnagar, where he set up an assembly comprising members from all castes and a court of arbitration. Gopal Krishnaiah was arrested and imprisoned for his heroic leadership. After the withdrawal of the non-cooperation movement, when C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru founded the Swarajya Party in 1925, Gopal Krishnaiah joined it.
Gopal Krishnaiah was fluent in Sanskrit, Telugu, Hindi and English, and an extempore composer of verse. He was a powerful orator and set up the Andhra Vidyapeeth Goshti. During his years in England, Gopal Krishnaiah translated the Abhinay Darpan of Nandi Keshwara into English as the Mirror of Gesture.
Gopal Krishnaiah died on the 10th of June 1928 at a young age of 39. We salute the great freedom fighter.
We also remember martyr Bhikkhu, who took part in the First War of Independence in 1857. Initially a soldier in the East India Company army, he joined the uprising. He also inspired his fellow sepoys to disobey their British officials and take part in the independence movement against the foreign rule.
Bhikkhu was captured in the course of an encounter with the British and charged with desertion and mutiny against the British authorities. He was sentenced to the transportation for life with hard labor and irons on the 16th of June 1857. He died in detention in the Andaman Islands on the 2nd of June 1858. We salute the great son of the soil.
We also remember independence activist Sidhu. A resident of Balwari, Haryana, Sidhu initially served in British Indian Army but deserted it and took active part in the First War of Independence in 1857. He was apprehended by British officer and accused of desertion and rebellion against the British rule. Sidhu was sentenced to death and executed by hanging on the 2nd of June 1858. We salute the great martyr.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
The ongoing 17th edition of Mumbai International Film Festival, MIFF 2022, today witnessed masterclass by renowned lyricist Prasoon Joshi on the theme The Art of Storytelling, who joined the event virtually. While interacting with the cinephiles, Mr. Joshi discussed about the importance of first-hand truth for a writer, which sets the tone of a story. He cited his experience of approaching the subject of Bhag Milkha Bhag in this context. While responding to a query on filmmaking, he said, filmmaking should be easy so that all the dreams and stories of youngsters come alive. Filmmaking should not be driven by courage but talent, he added. Renowned Santoor maestro Pandit Bhajan Sopori passed away today in Gurugram. He was 74. He was suffering from colon cancer. He was former director of music at All India Radio and looked after Hindustani classical music. Along with Pandit Shiv Kumar Sharma, he is credited to have brought santoor, a lesser-known Kashmiri instrument, into the global limelight.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has wished Congress President Sonia Gandhi a speedy recovery from COVID-19. Sonia Gandhi tested positive for COVID-19 today. A Congress spokesperson said she has developed mild fever, some symptoms, and has isolated herself. She has been given requisite medical attention. The BJP today said that nobody is above the law, be it Sonia Gandhi or Rahul Gandhi, and law will apply equally to everyone. Briefing media in New Delhi, party spokesman Gaurav Bhatia said it is not the birthright of the Gandhi family that probe agencies cannot summon them in accordance with law in a case of corruption.
सबसे ज्यादा भ्रष्टाचारी परिवार अगर कोई है केवल भारत में नहीं पूरे विश्व में तो वो गांधी परिवार, और मैं बताता हूं क्यों। एक परिवार 3 सदस्य, सोनिया गांधी बेल पर बाहर भ्रष्टाचार का आरोप, राहुल गांधी बेल पर बाहर भ्रष्टाचार का आरोप, रॉबर्ट वाड्रा एंटीसिपेटरी बेल लेते हैं जमीन घोटाले, लंदन में संपत्ति है, भ्रष्टाचार का आरोप। ऐसा कोई परिवार होगा जिसको देश की जनता ने विश्वास की नजरों से देखा और उसने प्रयास किया उसी देश को लूटने का। 3 परिवार के सदस्य और तीनों भ्रष्टाचार के आरोपों पे लिप्त, जिनके मामले न्यायालय ने निरस्त नहीं किए हैं।
Rejecting the charge of political vendetta, the spokesman said neither any High Court nor the Supreme Court has ever quashed any proceedings in a case of corruption on such a ground.
Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur will launch nationwide programs on World Bicycle Day tomorrow from Major Dhyan Chand Stadium in New Delhi. During the launch ceremony, Mr. Thakur, along with 750 young cyclists, will pedal over a distance of 7.5 kilometers. The ministry informed that more than 9,60,000 kilometers distance will be covered by 1,29,000 young cyclists through the proposed bicycle rallies in a single day tomorrow. Yoga Utsav, the 19 days countdown to the 8th International Yoga Day, was held today at Directorate of Health and Family Welfare in Kohima. The program was organized by National Ayush Mission, Nagaland, in collaboration with the Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga under the Ministry of Ayush. Speaking at the occasion, Nagaland Health Minister S. Pangnyo Phom said the state, along with the rest of the country and other 193 countries, is celebrating International Yoga Day. He added the state will celebrate Yoga Day in a grand manner this year.
In French Open tennis tournament, India's Rohan Bopanna and his Dutch partner Matwé Middelkoop lost the men's doubles semi-final after a valiant fight. The duo went down to the pair of Jean-Juliet Roger and Marcelo Arevalo 6-4, 3-6, 6-7 this evening. Now let us have a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. National capital Delhi is likely to have a mainly clear sky. The temperature will hover between 26 and 42 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. Minimum temperature will be around 29 degrees. Maximum expected to be 33. Chennai is also likely to have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. Temperature is likely to hover between 28 and 38 degrees. Kolkata is expected to have a partly cloudy sky with possibility of moderate rain or thunderstorm. Minimum temperature will be around 28 degrees Celsius, while maximum is expected to be 35. Srinagar, Leh and Gilgit will have a partly cloudy sky. In Jammu and Muzaffarabad, sky will be mainly clear, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Visakhapatnam will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Hyderabad is expected to have a partly cloudy sky. Thiruvananthapuram and Bengaluru will have generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rain or thunder showers. In the northeast, Guwahati, Shillong, Imphal, Aizawl, Itanagar, Agartala and Kohima will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Gangtok is expected to have thunderstorm with rain. And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. President Ramnath Kovind to be on a 4-day visit to Uttar Pradesh from tomorrow, also to visit his native village in Kanpur Dehat, along with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Governor Anandiben Patel and Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. Prime Minister to attend groundbreaking ceremony of UP Investor Summit 3.0 in Lucknow tomorrow. India and Israel adopt vision statement to pave the way for defence cooperation in future. Home Minister Amit Shah reviews preparedness to deal with flood situations in the country during monsoon. Government says overall coal production increases by 61 million tonnes during 2021-22. Power sector coal imports come down by 40%. Counting of votes for assembly by-elections in 3 constituencies, 1 each in Uttarakhand, Odisha and Kerala, to be taken up tomorrow. Renowned Santoor maestro Pandit Bhajan Sopori passes away in Gurugram. Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur to launch nationwide programs on World Bicycle Day tomorrow from Major Dhyan Chand Stadium in New Delhi. And in French Open Tennis Tournament, India's Rohan Bopanna and his Dutch partner Matwé Middelkoop go down to Jean-Juliet Roger and Marcelo Arevalo in men's doubles semi-final. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsoneir.gov.in and on News on EIR app. With that, we end the evening news. Good night.